you what the problems are, exacerbate the problems, and then go ahead. That is where we reach in Trinidad and Tobago. So what's the point? What's the point? Are you serious? Before elections, Sinanan, 5 years ago, 5 years to eradicate flooding. Now, Sinanan on flooding. I can do as much as I can do, but I am not God. But he built a big roundabout into the bush down in Valencia. I take the roundabout, end up in the bush. I see 2 iguana and a guti. So they don't have to solve anything. But one thing the PNM could do, the PNM could turn even the most patriotic, passionate warrior and champion of the people into a K-Pax licking, no cojones, cabrón. Rafik Shah, my brother, I hope that you are well. May the Spirit of the Lord take you as I just come from a Thanksgiving. But Rafik Shah, what's going on, sir? Are you the same Rafik Shah that brought the PNM to its knees with other brothers who worked and walked in 1970 to fight for jobs and to show the PNM that they could not continue to abuse black and brown people in this country? Was it you, Rafik Shah? Are you the same Rafik Shah that nearly gave his life for the country? That the same Rafik Shah that is writing this in the Express? In a freeness state, listen to Rafik Shah. If we think this point in our history is the worst in our existence as a sovereign state, then it's easy to blame the incumbent government for taking us there. It's easy, or is it true? And you are stating that it's worse now, but the last week column, you said that people like me who are saying that we are falling apart, we are not patriotic, that we should just hush him out and say that everything good. That's what you said last week, Rafik Shah, and then this week you come to say this. But he continues. That's a grand total of 54 years talking about the PNM. An impressive run, says Rafik Shah, by any measure. Little wonder such extraordinary success at democratic elections that have never been found to be fraudulent. Really, Rafik Shah? You wasn't there back in the late 60s, 70s with the voting machine. You wasn't there when A&R Robinson was a PNM and get more vote than it had electors. You wasn't there in the last election when 35,000 citizens could not come home to vote because the PNM said that the borders were closed. You weren't there in the last election where in 6 marginal seats there were over 47 discrepancies. You don't live in Trinidad and Tobago where they put the niece of a former sitting PNM minister who wrote the most vile racist letter to the editor and was printed in the newspaper, Maxi Coffee, his niece in charge of the EBC. You don't understand that. You weren't there in 2015 when the EBC gave PNM, not UNC, a warning that there would be an extra hour, and the PNM was allowed to utilize their machinery for that 1 hour. And when you check the counting of the results, you could see that PNM was depressed, and then all of a sudden, when the last set of votes start to count, they moved from depression into victory. You wasn't there. No fraudulent, no questions in election. You weren't there when the PNM tried to gerrymander and steal an election in Tobago and instructed the independent EBC to change Tobago from 12 seat to 15 seat. It's just that the people in Tobago don't have no Indian and African and race stupidity to discuss. So they know Franco men, when they understand the policies and the positions and that Rowley and the PNM is deleterious to the positive development of any people, they vote them out 14-1. The only one seat to stand is one of the gerrymandered ones. Rafik Shah, what are you speaking of, sir? What's wrong, my brother? He continued. The success of democratic elections that have never been found to be fraudulent or even unfair imposes on it inherent blame for the state of the nation at all times, even if its opponents manage to unseat the PNM for brief spells. Trinidad and Tobago is seen as a failed state, or rather, large numbers of citizens, most of them aligned with some political entity that wants to remove the PNM from power, blaming the PNM for rendering this nation a failed state. Well, Rafik Shah, sir, I'm going to give you some homework, please. I'm going to read it out. In your next column, please state and list every positive that the PNM under Keith Christopher Rowley has done over the last 7 years. Please, sir, I ask you, since you want to, let's discuss, let's debate. Please, okay? But I was going to answer you in the Senate yesterday. But the way I was going to answer you, but my time went so fast because we were debating the foreign exchange. Rafik Shah, how's the foreign exchange? Whose fault is it that we can't get foreign exchange and only a select few could get it, and that people cannot get money to do business, and that 6,000 businesses shut down, and that the chamber did a survey and over 66% of the companies surveyed out of 204 companies said that they're getting less than 50% of the foreign exchange that they require to survive in their businesses. That's whose fault is that? Not the government, not the incumbent. Isn't it their responsibility to diversify, to ensure that the balance of payments that Trinidad and Tobago's economy can generate foreign exchange so that citizens do not have to live in such archaic conditions, Rafik Shah? But I was going to answer you like this, Rafik Shah, because your position is that the PNM is so amazing because they've been around since 1956 and they've ruled us for 54 years. Now, if they've ruled us for 54 years and nothing works, when it drizzled, everything shut down. Crime is rampant. School children failing like never before. SEA fighting. The schools, they go to learn how to fight and kill. You are telling me that they should be proud that they've ruled for so long when everything is so bad? I don't understand, sir. But I wouldn't answer you, and I would not respond to you now. You know what I would do? You know who answered you? Because Rafik Shah of 2022, by way of 1970, Trinidad and Tobago is a paradise. We are not blight. We have simply had to endure the PNM for 49 long, torturous, calamitous years. Remove the PNM and remove the blight, sir. But I'm going to help you because you will remember this better than me, because you were a big man. Lord Shorty, before he turned to Rash Shorty I, before he brought the fusion of the Tassa and the African drum together to create soca. The Douglar loves soca because soca is Douglar. Before he became Rash Shorty I, he was Lord Shorty. And in 1978, he penned this song. And I'm going to read for some of the lyrics for you, Rafik Shah, to remind you that the PNM is a cult that has suffered and blighted this country for decades, and that nothing has changed. In fact, it has gotten worse with the advent of Keith Christopher Rowley at the helm of the PNM. Keith Christopher Rowley is the worst leader the PNM has ever seen, far less for the country. Lord Shorty said in his classic calypso, money ain't no problem. It's 5 to a bed in the hospital. And we can't hear a word from Health Minister Kamal. You just put in convent girl. Black, dirty water we have to drink. Wassa say it clean, but it's smelling stink. That 1978, it's stinker now, and water not even in the tap now, under the Minister of Man, who seems to just be touring Keith Scotland constituency. In the last 4 months, he's visited and toured with Keith Scotland on 4 occasions. Me I see him with Ravi Ratiram. Me I see him with Rodney Charles. Me I see the Minister of Man go down and check Rudal Munilal. He ain't check Rushton Parry in Mayaro or Michelle Benjamin. He ain't check Vandana. He ain't check Khadija Amin. He ain't check David Lee. He ain't check Kamla Prasad Bissessa in Siparia. But the last 3 months, he's been 3 or 4 times touring with Keith Scotland, bathing together in standpipe. Minister, man, what's going on there? You like Keith? Yeah? How come you ain't treating all the other MP? Not even. I ain't see you with Foster. I ain't see you even with the Prime Minister in Diego Martin. I ain't see you with Simon the Nosebreaker. What is you and Scotland have, Minister, man? Tell the country now. My friend, here Tuna, she playing it in the back. My friend, money ain't no problem. All them politicians today, they just full of smoke. only making foolish mistakes and calling it joke. So much old people on the streets today, and we can't build a home for them to stay. Rafiksha, they have a car park with 600 people now, and they call that a homeless shelter. PNM, Rafiksha, what they put in your water, boy? They cook some food for you? Is Rowley sweat rice you eat, Rafiksha? What you doing all up in the K-Pax, boy? Shame on you, sir. You're not making sense. Listen to 1978 PNM. They were still within their 30 years unfettered, undisturbed, and we in a mess. Our roads are the worst in the Caribbean. We have the most traffic jams you have ever seen. When it rain, Port of Spain in pain. Them drain on the strain, so it's flood again. This is Lord Shorty, 1978, not 2022, not today, Rafiksha. Public transport in this wealthy country so bad. Trying to get home on evenings could drive you mad. If you see buses park up by South Key and 3/4 ain't working properly, my friend, money ain't no problem. That's what the PNM to say, but now money is problem. They can't pay salary. Millions of dollars going down the drain. The airline in a mess, and they buying wide body plane. People say in this country blight, so much of money and nothing ain't right. We blight because we have the PNM, Rafiksha. Trinidad and Tobago unite and get rid of the PNM. It's about time. That was 1978. We in 2022. Lord have mercy. All you get together and get rid of this blight out of our beautiful country. Rafiksha, my brother, thank you for what you did back in the day. But shame on you for every poison word that you penned today. I am so ashamed I cannot say. It hurt me to have your picture there, Rafiksha. I tried to ignore you. But my goodness, my brother, such lies. So next week, I'm going to put back your picture here. I want to read your column, Rafiksha. I want to hold it up here. And I want you to show me all the good Rowley has done since coming and stealing elections in 2015 September, since his email gate lies. Tell me what he has done. Tell me all the energy sector, how it's booming. Tell me the foreign exchange. Tell me the debt to GDP ratio is low. Tell me the reserves that he's increased. Tell me how he's built up the heritage and civilization, how he's created jobs. Tell me how he respects labor. Tell me how he put money in education. Tell me how he made us safe. Tell me, Rafiksha. Let's start the show now. Good evening. Welcome to Douglar Politics. Now, I saw Shamford the other day. She didn't want to tell me good afternoon. Well, Shamford, that's your business. But my mother teach me good. But did I not Shamford? Archie put up Shamford. Archie is Shamford. Ah? That is Shamford? Archie? If you say so, Archie, you is the man in charge. That is Shamford? Okay. Well, Shamford didn't want to tell me good afternoon. She said down in her throat. But she didn't look like that. Maybe somebody else, so I might be mistaken. She looked different. Anyway, this lady is in charge of sport. Sport, because she's walking a half marathon. Now, I don't know about you all, but I watched a sporting, what was defined as a sporting event 2 days ago. I have every sporting channel, all of them, NBA, League Pass, everything, Champion League, Rush, all the Rush, ESPN, ESPN 2, 3, 4, International. I looked at my red, white, and black. My young ladies, they said it was a football game. Let me tell you all something. Let me tell first of all the under-17 girls football team. God bless all you. I know you all tried your best. I'm not talking to you, the children, the athletes, and so on. But to those adults who are in charge of sending our athletes out to perform and not preparing them properly, putting them on a field of playing whatever sport, to be slaughtered and embarrassed, while making them feel that they were ready or they were prepared. There is no greater sin than for adults to not be truthful and to not prepare and to not let children and athletes know what they're going into. You don't throw children into a cauldron of fire based on a platform of lies. To the coaching staff, the management, to the normalization committee of football in Trinidad and Tobago, to Robert Haddad, the billionaire who pays himself a salary while owing everybody money. Shame on you all. You have disgraced Trinidad and Tobago like I have never seen. We played against Nicaragua. I watched the game for 19 minutes. For 18 minutes and 40 seconds, I forced myself as a patriot to watch it. I dare any of you to go and watch it. It is the single worst performance in the history of sport. Our children did not even look like they could walk out in a line for the anthem. There was no fitness. Their bodies did not look like athletes. Their running technique was wrong. Their ability to move was questionable. Their ability to run fast and to sprint was non-existent. They were playing against Nicaragua, a country that's the poorest in Central America. A country like Nicaragua where they still believe in the machismo concept and girls are not supposed to play sports and girls are not as important as boys. Nicaragua has not come out of that system as yet in the way that Canada and the USA and Germany and European teams have come out. Nicaragua is one of the worst teams in CONCACAF in girls football. They had just lost to Mexico 10-0 and they beat us 4-0. We could not, I didn't talk football yet. We could not jump. We could not run. We had no fitness. We were bending over and looking tired. Then there was this thing called a football. And none of our girls could trap the ball, could control the ball, could head the ball, could pass the ball, could look up when they were running with the ball. They could do absolutely nothing. And I ask you, the coaching staff, the management, the selectors who selected that team, did you really do those children an honorable service? How did you not know that that team was so woefully prepared? I can't even use prepared because it's underprepared, unprepared. And then, now I have to read in the newspaper that the under-17 girls, says the Guardian, target Mexico upset to stay alive. Mexico beat Nicaragua 10-0. Nicaragua beat our girls 4-0. But the Guardian says that we are somehow going to upset Mexico. How is that possible? How is it logical? Mexico will beat us at least 20 if they play seriously. After 8, 9, 10, they may get bored, put on their substitutes and so on. But that is not what I'm speaking of. For any coach, any manager, to carry a team, put on the red, white, and black, get on a ticket and say you are going to a competition so woefully underprepared. Obviously, the coaches did not even understand what the competition level was. They didn't understand what were the normal physiological prerequisites to play a tournament of that level. Could you imagine if we were in a group with USA or Canada? This is not acceptable, and this is what passes. And you cannot blame the children. You cannot. I could give you all a story. Back in 1995, I was coaching 2 full years. But I had already just come back from university and they had many big coaches. Paul Nualo was the big coach, former Olympian from 1984, but they're still waiting for his qualification time that Peter Samuel Sr. had written on a paper in the meeting and said, yes, Paul Nualo just did this time. FedEx, we will get the official sheet just now. They're still waiting for it now in 2022. They ain't get it yet. But he went 1984 Olympics. He was the big Sawati and the big national coach. In 1995, we were going to the Central American and Caribbean Championships in Guadalajara, Mexico. I had on the Trinidad and Tobago team a girl called Kerry Ann Gibbs. She was 12 years old, a brilliant, hard-working, disciplined, fantastically gifted, one of the hardest working athletes out. She was going to CCCAN And remember when I was a swimmer, my first CC can was in 1979 in San Cristobal, Venezuela. There were 28 of us who went on that national team. And there were licks that was sharing from Venezuela, Mexico, Costa Rica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, licks like fire, licks like peas. The whole team had to share one gold medal out of 100 and something races, right? When I tell you licks. Randy Attin won the 100 meters freestyle in 53.17 in the boys 15 to 17. That's the only gold medal we got. Other than that, licks. But I became a coach and I was fed up of all that licks, and I said, well, I'm going to use my brain, my science and understanding to get up there and beat these people for all the years they beat me. So I had this young lady called Kerry Ann Gibbs in the 11 to 12 age group. She was going to attempt 10 races. 10 events means 20 swims, okay? At an altitude of 1,500 meters, Guadalajara. When you go up in altitude, there's a lower oxygen content. So when you're preparing to swim, especially amount of races, you cannot do your normal, what we call a taper period. Because when you taper and rest, your aerobic capacity diminishes. Your anaerobic threshold comes down. And therefore, lactic acid builds up quicker in your muscles. But you generate more speed and pace in the initial stages and so on. But I knew that. So I was working hard. Paul Nualo was a national coach. He had about 21 swimmers from Flying Fish. And I had this one swimmer, Trinidad and Tobago, Kerry Ann Gibbs, and Leah Martindale, who's not swimming. I'm coaching her, but she's swimming for Barbados. And we went to the CCCAN Championships. Paul Nualo, 5 days before we left, I was training at Marlin's pool and it was raining. I had no umbrella, but Kerry Ann Gibbs was doing an anaerobic threshold set, 30 100s breaststroke on 145, averaging 123 at 12 years old. And I heard as sound carries across the pool, Paul Nualo, the national coach, saying, "Y'all see how that man doesn't know what he's doing? He's an idiot," talking to parents and athletes. He's overtraining that girl. We have to leave in 5 days and she's going to be too tired and so on. Cut a long story short. We went up to Guadalajara. Kerry Ann Gibbs put on the red, white, and black of Trinidad and Tobago. And she won 10. Let me repeat, 10. 10 medalla de oro. 10 gold medals. 8 national records. 9 Central American and Caribbean records. Do you know how many gold medals Paul Nualo and his 23 swimmers got? 0. Even Siobhan Cropper, who he was training, lost to the Bajan girl Leah Martindale, who I was coaching. Leah Martindale won the 50 free, 100 free, and 100 fly. So I got 13 gold medals, and Paul Nualo's swimmers were coming out of the pool. Children were not finishing the races because he was not smart enough to understand we were at 1,500 meters. But he was criticizing and sending them up. Why I tell you that to say now, after the 4th day, when Kerry Ann Gibbs was standing up to receive her medal on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago, and the national anthem was playing, Paul Nualo, the then head coach of Trinidad and Tobago, I was just assistant coach because I just have Kerry Ann. He packed up all his swimmers in red, white, and black while the anthem was playing and left the pool. Do you hear what I'm telling you? When I went back to the hotel, I was livid. And I went up to his room and I saw a meeting in progress. So I macroed the meeting. And Paul Nualo was berating the swimmers for lack of effort, lack of trying, and shouting how they're embarrassing him and so on. I walked into that meeting and I asked the kids, the swimmers, I said, "Excuse me, good afternoon." And the parents were there. I said, "Do you all feel like you're trying your best, but your muscles are burning, your lungs are burning, and you don't know what's going on? You feel like you cannot finish a race and you need oxygen?" And all the little children, all the swimmers were doing this. I said, that is because we're at 1,500 meters altitude. Your coach did not understand that. So he tapered you, and I explained to them that it was not their fault, and it was their coach's fault. And now we see the same thing happening to the coaches and management who send our under 17 women, young girls, out to the slaughter unprepared, and you did not know your job, you did not know what to do, you did not know the competition that you were going to, and you embarrassed the children, their parents, the country. You all must resign and move out. You are not qualified, you do not understand, and you do not deserve to wear the red, white, and black. You want to coach, you want to hold people's dreams in your hands. You must be brighter every day. You can never know everything about coaching. You have to know who is doing what needs to be done, what's the speed, what's the fitness, what's the heart rate, what's the recovery level, what your opponents are doing. The whole team should have get COVID and not go there. Spence, the coach, says TNT need to find their feet at Caribbean level. Eye opener. Coach, your eye now open. So what you was doing all the time? So what you was going to coach to do? To sticking with football, TTFA, Warner and Phillips head the TTFA creditors seeking $84.5 million. Former FIFA Vice President and Trinidad and Tobago Football Association Special Advisor Austin Jack Warner and former TTFA General Secretary Sheldon Phillips head the list of 289 creditors who have made claims of $84.5 million owed to them by the TTFA. Dennis Lawrence also won a multi-million-dollar High Court judgment. There are also people owed at Stephen Hart, Kendall Walks, Peter Miller, Anton Cornell, Russell Latapi, Russ Russell, former General Secretary Ramesh Ramdan, and Kamara David, the TNT Football Referees Association, and I can tell you Maxi Taxi and caterers. Yet you have a PNM man, Robert Haddad, the head of the Normalization Committee, who is paying, he is a billionaire already, but he paying himself and the other Normalization Committee members. They're collecting 18,000 US from FIFA. Rather than saying per month, rather than telling FIFA, look, all you give me that money, let we start to pay down some of the people that we owe. Them draws in their pay, taking their salary, and sending our children unprepared, underprepared, and to the slaughter. That is so disgraceful. You all have no shame. And to all my brother coaches, don't stand there and make no excuse. Nonsense. I am ashamed of y'all. You want to coach? Then study hard, learn, know what has to be done, and get it done before you put on the red, white, and black, man. I could not even watch that. I dare any of y'all to go back 2 days and watch that game. And if you see they have a game whenever we play Mexico, don't watch that. If you love your country, you love your red, white, and black, don't watch that. Sport is in a mess because of this. You sure this is Shamfa? Archie? There is Shamfa? But if this is Shamfa, sport is in a mess because of this. No care, no knowledge, no understanding. Elections have consequences. Move she. Maracas Bay residents get connected. The global pandemic exposed the disadvantage that many children and families from rural communities face as it relates to reliable internet connectivity. More so, students have been adversely affected as a result of the shift to online educational learning. The Digital Foundation partnered with the Ministry of Sport and Community Development to unroll the project as part of the ministry's National Policy on Sustainable Community Development Initiative that encourages donors to adopt a community. Did you all listen to what I just said? So the PNM Ministry of Sport and Community Development is getting private sector to put 4 or 5 computers and some internet into rural communities. This is not the same PNM who said giving children laptop was dotishness and corruption and useless and stop Kamala Prasad Bissasa's laptop program. This is not the same PNM who stopped the laptop program where every child, 19,500 odd per year, were getting a laptop. And Kamala was moving for full connectivity and Wi-Fi and tablets in primary school. They stopped all of that to stop spending money so them could spend money to recuse themselves and pay themselves rent. But now, when you come first in SEA and you're the brightest, you know what the first prize is? A laptop. And you all voted for that. I remember PNM supporters in 2015 when Rowley in St. James said, I am going to stop that corrupt laptop program. You are not going to get laptops. Giving those children laptops is a waste. Those laptops, they go and they do all kind of thing with it. And single mothers and members of the PNM, poor people went, yay! But Rowley daughter and children have laptop inside and outside. Rowley grandchild have laptop and tablet and iPhone. But yours can't. Vote for that now. Okay. Boy 9 saved from drowning. Well, at least that was, you know. A 9-year-old child is at Sangre Grande General Hospital after he almost drowned on Sunday. The Express was told that about 4:30 p.m. the boy was with a group of relatives at Valencia River when he got into difficulty. People at the river were able to rescue the boy and bring him to the riverbank where CPR was administered. Well, for those who learned the CPR and did it very well, but could you all please, if you all can't swim, if you know you can't swim, stay out the people water now. Go in the savannah and fly kite. Go and play cricket. Go on a hike where you don't have water. Where you cannot swim, where all you going? And on top of that, all you get your children to swim now. Find a swimming program. Grenada Coast Guard vessel collides with fishing boat. 1 killed. But hear this, right? This is how proper countries, democratic countries, countries that respect law and order, this is how they operate, right? And it ain't no big bush country, it ain't no historical European country, developed world. It right there, Franco and Grenada, right? So there was a Grenada Coast Guard vessel collides with a fishing boat and 1 killed. But here it is. It is said that it wanted to assure the family and relatives of the unidentified person killed that a thorough investigation has been launched to determine what led to this tragic and unfortunate incident. So the police is assuring the family that they, the police, will do a thorough investigation of the Coast Guard to find out what happened with this accident with a Coast Guard vessel bouncing and killing fishermen fishing. But we in Trinidad and Tobago, we have Coast Guard that kill a little baby, shoot upon 37 unarmed migrants, and we have no investigation. We know nothing. They bury it under the sand and they just move on. This little cutie got his head, this cute face, got a bullet to rip through this beautiful face, this skull, and spread his brains all over his mother, and all you don't care. And Vasan Bharat and Botiwari say that when Kamala called for investigation into this, that it is wrong. They say that she is unpatriotic. Shame on you all. What's the story? What's the truth? Where's the investigation? At DCP Jacobs, they tell me don't walk with Jacob because Jacob does walk and shake up. Toe jam Jacobs. Your police service falling apart all over because from the leadership come down. More heartfelt love from the PNM. Y'all ready? Remember David Lee was trying to call Clarence Rambarat before Rowley fired him and embarrassed him, and he was supposed to go to Canada and hug up his wife and children, but then he turned back and he didn't reach because he didn't really need the hug, and he come back to try and get a walk in, and when man all over the place, ministers and minister family getting land all over the place, Clarence reached back, but David Lee was trying to call Clarence Rambarat for 24 hours. When people's houses in Claxton Bay were falling because of the indiscriminate quarrying of the EMBD. Remember that? Donna Cox fly down there and say, yes, we'll bring support. She put on a new wig and went and take picture. They may even get a hamper, assistance, a grant, no help, no assistance, no movement. They weren't given any relocation, no solidification of the foundation of the houses and so on. You know what the PNM say? You all ready? Get out or else. EMBD's landslip warning to Claxton Bay. The PNM EMBD is telling the people, get out or else. Several families affected by a major landslip in Claxton Bay have been warned that with the onset of the rainy season, they must leave their properties for their safety as the land continues to move. The estate management company and business development company wrote to affected residents of Diamond Road on Monday. The residents said they want us to leave and go. Leave and go where? I have nowhere else to go, said 62-year-old Giles Garcia. I already let them, the government officials, know that I paid taxes for 45 years. If the government gives me back all my taxes, I will fix my business. Now it's time for me to relax in my old age. I am still asking the government out of decency to do something for me, please. That's what you all vote for. Not can we assist. It's over a year and a half now. Not could you move here temporarily, HDC, so we could go in, send the engineers to fix up, to do something. Nothing. All you better get out of here because all your property going and mash up. That is the PNM. And you all just allow them to do that because they don't have to find solutions. They don't have to serve the people. Other parties, other political parties, other politicians, they have to serve the people and care for the people, and still you all vote them out and let them gerrymander. But the PNM don't have to solve nothing. Them could just exacerbate problems. PNM, problems exacerbate. Look at what all you vote for. Actually, well, boy, I was drinking coffee when I read this one. Boy, I spit out my coffee all over the kitchen counter. You all ready? Now Keith Rowley just told Rodney Charles and them in the parliament, I'm the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I see about Trinidad and Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago interests. Don't tell me about me and Motley and Guyana. Rodney Charles, go so if you want, right? Okay. You all are all proud Trinbagonians. I'm a proud Trinbagonian. I think we are some of the most creative, brilliant, talented people in the world. Rowley is our Prime Minister. As hard as it is for me to say that, but what I could do with all your election, everybody had a choice. Rowley is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. An amazing country. A country of Nobel laureates, a country of Olympic gold medalists, Miss Universe, Miss World titles, of professors, of energy czars, of brilliant corporate CEOs, of literature professors, and of people who made inventions and patents, and the creators of the steel pan. Oh Lord, Trinidad and Tobago, sweet. That we Prime Minister, right? Zoom in. Keith Rowley gone to the USA as the leader of the sovereign Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And look who he meet with. Let me read it for you. Archie, zooming in slow. Rowley meets with Biden's special advisor. Archie, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago meets with Biden, President Joe Biden advisor. What are you advise? Oh Lord, Mia and Mom Motley meet with Biden. Look, Biden, girl, come, please. Let me try and get some pips off of you. Biden want to ride Mia and Mom Motley for some publicity and power in COP26 or thing. But we Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me read it for you all. The Prime Minister met with Special Advisor to U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington on Tuesday. Dr. Rowley is scheduled to meet several members of the U.S. Congress on Wednesday. They're state members. The information was provided in a statement from the OPM. Rowley took his K-Pax liquor, Stuart Young, with him. Let me tell you this, man. All you afraid all you feel he's something big, nobody in the world care about Rowley. Except all your Balisay suckers. And he taking everything from all you and all you depending he. Imagine a Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago going to the USA to meet with an advisor. Biden have about 73 advisors. And then he going to meet with members of Congress to do what? You are the sovereign leader, but you want to go and dance conga line with Maduro, meet with Iran, and line me up with Russia, and then expect the toppers to meet with you? Rowley, the USA and other people don't care about you. They don't suffering from balise juice sickness. You understand? Rains leave Mayaro underwater everywhere. We in the dry season, eh? We in the dry season, and PNM have flood that they cannot control. Let me say that quietly. We are in the dry season, and PNM cannot control dry season rainfall. Rainy season coming, you know. Right? Mayaro, deluge causes streets to overflow, trapping drivers. More heavy showers today on yellow alert. Rains leave Mayaro underwater. After the floods, look at what lot is Trinidad and Tobago. Here the Daily Express. Scary prelude. Take out that one, Archie. Scary, show some others. Yes, man. Look at Trinidad and Tobago here. Look at that. That is a road, you know. Watch that. River going into the road. But the Daily Express says, a scary prelude. You could show them more if you want that from all over. To the wet season. Look at Trinidad and Tobago. That the Queen's Park Savannah or that the North Coast. It's best we throw a fishing rod there and see if we could get a kingfish by. With the dry season showers already triggering enough flash flooding to tie up traffic and disrupt public activity, we should be concerned about what lies ahead when the wet season officially begins in about a month's time. Rohan Sinanan was cautious when asked by Sawa Barataria MP Saddam Hussein if his constituents would be spared flooding this year. I can do as much as I can do, but I am not God, said Sinanan. In preparation for the coming rainy season, they have done nothing. So PNM, they have no responsibility for nothing. Mass media, nothing. This is us in dry season under this bunch of incompetent procurers without procurement. When we move from this now, let me move to the next one. The Minister of Man, look at all that water. He said we need I thought he was going to harvest that rainwater. Yeah, we need to increase the supply. Reservoirs run dry. Bag of nonsense. Simple incompetence of the PNM cannot fix leaks. End of story. Wasted time. Wasted management. No ability to solve problems. Move from 74% in 2014. 24/7 supply down to 16% now. And in the express business, the Minister of Man says, Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez said, desalinated water not sustainable. Now, we didn't just go through 2 different joint select committees where I showed you and Barry Padarat showed you when CEO, acting CEO, then Shepherd, and Chairman Nanga, Rabbi Nanga, could not answer questions, and when they ended up answering questions, they show that the PNM government, Keith Christopher Rowley, and the Minister of Man were abject liars. They keep trying to blame the Salcott, which has the Salcott is not responsible for the woes of Wassa. Desalination water was created and produced by the UNC for the energy sector so that potable water would not be taken away from consumers to the energy sector. It was the PNM in 2002 who took 5 million gallons per day out of the energy sector and put it into the commercial sector. Desalination water is for the energy sector and it is profitable there. Wassa makes $5.75 per cubic meter of desalinated water from the energy sector. However, in 2017 and during the last 7 years of Rowley's PNM, the energy sector has collapsed. ArcelorMittal has gone home after the negotiation in Houston by Stewart, Smallpin, Young and Rowley. 11 companies left Point Lisas. Therefore, the demand for water in the energy sector is very low because of the PNM's incompetence. But the PNM in 2010, January 19, 2010, signed a take-or-pay contract to increase the water taken from the Salcott from 24 million gallons a day up to 60 million gallons a day. Rowley lied and said the Salcott charging $1.80 per cubic meter. Lie, is $1 US. The ones who charging $1.80 is a company called Seven Seas that the PNM signed a contract on May 7th, 2010, 17 days before election, while people with jersey and music ringing their head for election in 2010. The PNM signed a contract, and that foreign company also does not pay. WASA pays their electricity bill. The Salcott pays their own electricity bill. But the PNM is trying to put a blame, to push a narrative on the Salcott, but that was debunked. It was shown that the UNC under Kamala came in and negotiated and arbitrated and got that take-or-pay contract down from 60 million gallons per day down to 40 million gallons per day. Do you know that this article here is attempting to pretend that what you all heard and saw in the Joint Select Committee did not occur, and that Rowley and the Minister of Man are not pathological liars, and they weren't caught lying with the Bartex down? Now what journalists, after seeing and paying attention to Joint Select Committees live on TV and so on, what journalists, well, it's the Express, that's the newspaper, but what journalists you think would attempt to lie to the population once again to pretend that you didn't hear and see the truth live on the Joint Select Committee? What journalists you think? Let me give you a hint. It's a journalist that when Kamala Persad-Bissessar was Prime Minister, she was an investigative journalist, investigative political journalist. There is a judgment against her, and the judge states that she is a total liar and prints falsehoods. A judgment, go and read it, from 2016, Sibelak Sin versus the Express, Irene Medina and Asha Javid. Asha Javid comes to print and try to force the lies that were debunked clearly in front for the whole world to see, coming to print nonsense in the Business Express, saying the Water and Sewerage Authority intends to undertake a water audit and so on. The water audit would delineate areas outside Point Lisas Industrial Estate that receive between 50 and 63% of the water from the Salcott, and provide an assessment and so on for desalinating the water. This assessment would be a key input in a broader national plan to reduce the country's reliance on desalination. Right? Public Minister Marvin Gonzalez described WASA's contract with the Salcott as unsustainable. So WASA's contract with the Salcott is unsustainable. Not the PNM energy sector policy is unsustainable. Not the PNM's leakage and losing and throwing away of 5 billion gallons of potable water per month for the last 5 years. That's not unsustainable. Asha Javid prints, in 2012, the Salcott contract was amended to expire on December 31st, 2036. This woman, 2012, so she gone to pretend that it was Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. The 2010 January 19th contract was till 2035, 25 years, take or pay, 60 million gallons per day, negotiated down to 40 million gallons per day. But also Kamala Persad-Bissessar had Kevin Ramnarine in energy, and therefore the energy sector was growing, it was improving. Point Lisas was moving up at 72% capacity, moving towards 100%. Downstream industries were coming that would utilize desalinated water. So all the desalinated water would have been sold at at $12 per cubic meter, and WASA would have been making a profit. But because of PNM overall incompetence, it's a vicious cycle of stupidity that had people suffering, and this man coming to try and make you pay more for water. But just to remind you all of the truth, that Keith Rowley lied. That it's not 180 per cubic meter, it's $1 US at the Salcott. It's 181 at 7 Seas. He lied about the contract, about the UNC, putting MIGD gallons per day onto the normal grid. That was a PNM policy of 2002, extended in 2010. Run it, Archie, and remind them of the lies.
Yes, sir, Mr. Corporate Secretary. I'm speaking about the original contract. I know it was renegotiated between 2012 and then re-signed on 2014. What was the end date of that original contract signed on January 19, 2010, please?
This is the supplemental of January 2010. Was for a period of 25 years with the commencement of the delivery of 60 million gallons of water. MIGD, 60 MIGD, 25 years thereafter.
Thank you, sir. And was this a take-or-pay contract signed on January 19, 2010?
Here, show you the original contract with the Salcott, which we call the Water Sale Agreement, signed on the 5th of August, 1999. This original contract had the take-or-pay provisions in it. The subsequent agreements, which was the supplemental in 2010 and the amended agreement in 2012, would carry on with that provision for the take-or-pay.
Thank you, sir. And the original contract in 1999 and then amended 2002 was for 24 million gallons per day, and was the 2010 January 19 contract for 60 million gallons per day?
The contract was structured along this basis. One, the production of 40 MIGD within 3 months of signing the agreement, that is April 2010, and thereafter 60 MIGD within a period of December, obtaining its finances and so on, those things being put in order.
Thank you, sir. Through you, Chairman. And then when this was arbitrated and negotiated in 2014 and signed, what did the amount, was it reduced from that maximum 60 million gallons per day down to 40 million gallons per day, please?
Volume of water contracted for in the amended water sale agreement of November 2012 was for 40 MIGD.
Is 40 MIGD less than 60 MIGD, please, sir, through the chairman?
It is our number. Please, sir.
So, and that contract stated increased to 40 million within 3 months, which would have put it to April or May 2010, and then a further increase to 60 MIGD per day. Is that not correct?
Over a period of 2 years, yes.
Thank you. And then it was negotiated through WASA and the Salcott to settle on 40 MIGD and to remove that maximum of 60 MIGD.
Yes, it was.
Chairman or CEO, through you, Chairman, the water sale price at the Salcott, can we confirm that it is $1 US per cubic meter and not $1.80 US as stated somewhere else?
Yes, that is correct. It is $1 US.
Just to remind you, so when you see people like Asha Javid, who while she was a political investigative reporter, was in an intimate loving relationship with Stuart Smallpin Young, hugging up in West Hills Day and dodging when that other former PNM Attorney General, John Jeremy, was coming in to check his child. That's what she was doing. And that's why this country is in a mess. Because these newspapers have no qualms in printing lies. Inside here, it says that the PNM report says that only 30% of desalinated water now goes to the energy sector. Well, whose fault is that? The PNM collapsed the energy sector. The Rowley and Smallpins negotiation in Houston collapsed Point Lisas. So they collapsed Point Lisas. Then there's an excess capacity of water that was supposed to be for the energy sector that they collapse and shut down Petrotrain and mash up the energy sector. Then they come to say now that is his Desalcott fault and it's your fault. Here are the 3 goals that the PNM say they want to do in WASA now. Here are the goals. 1, reduce the dependence on the treasury. So therefore that means they come in to increase your rate for what you don't get. Right? They come in to increase your water rate. This disgusting, wicked PNM. Then here the second goal. Eliminate water scheduling. How are you going to do that when the water leaking out? 5 billion gallons per month. 55% of the water they produce, just waste, throw away. And here the third goal. A goal to have 24/7 supply of water throughout the country by 2024. We in 2022. They are at 16% now. 16. In 2014, Kamala was up at 74%. They are telling you that they could move from 16% to 100% in a year and a half. If all you want that, I have some ice to sell some Eskimos. The Minister of Bundles have time to dress up and come and sit down in Senate and gallery herself. Parents remove their children. School now start back. Moldy walls in Brighton Anglican Primary. Gate at school falls on a girl 13. A 13-year-old girl was injured on Monday when a gate fell and knocked her to the ground shortly. They had a video of a lady going to drop her child to school. The child was so short, the bush was so tall, that when the child walking through, she lose her child in the bush inside the school. Paint fumes forced suspension of classes at Labre School. Standard 3 pupils attending the Brighton Anglican School in Labre returned home with their parents yesterday because the classroom needed more time to air out. The minister says no one was trapped at Barataria South Secondary School after electrical issue. The electrical supply to the Barataria South Secondary School had to be turned off yesterday following inclement rains which caused overhead wires to spark. All of that going on in schools across the board, and Minister Bundles have time to play Russian roulette with Pum Pum in the cabinet, causing bacchanal in the cabinet. Woman, do your work. World Bank warns of high prices until 2024. That's high food prices. And your hands, your fate, your food in the hands of Keith Rowley and his PNM government that said agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago makes no sense because we don't have the land space. They cut funding down from 1.2 billion per year under Kamala down to 400 million. They lie and tell you they're providing 500 million to farmers. They spend 16 million and then they take away 25 million out of the ADB, the Agricultural Development Bank, that farmers cannot access anymore. When the farmers need insecticide and so on, they cannot help. When they have flooding, they cannot help. And your food security depends on them. Yesterday in the Senate, there was a, let me tell you something. I don't know if the PNM ministers and things just clamor over one another to see who could be the biggest idiot in the world. Really and truly. Up steps now Randall Mitchell, a man who was unable to hold his seat in the PNM. He had San Fernando East, the seat of Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning. Them take that away from him and give Brian Manning. While he lost his seat, Brian Manning take his girl and married she. They're looking for his dog. When he was the Minister of Tourism, small pin, negotiating sandals all over the place, and Randall Mitchell, I even know what's going on in his own ministry. But he come yesterday when we are debating a motion on the foreign exchange crunch, when Colm but fired and got rid of Jawala Rambaran because he said transparency and accountability is the way to go. We must let everybody know that this is available and who is getting US and so on. The PNM fired him and put Rowley neighbor in Tobago in Inez Gate, Alvin Hilaire, to be the central bank governor. Randall Mitchell came yesterday to try to say that Massey, no, Gervais Warner, as I told you all many times, Harvard MBA, very brilliant individual, but he's a PNM and a rotted PNM. And he uses his intelligence to suffer people, to suffer poor people, and to suffer Trinidad and Tobago because of his high connections in the PNM. When the PNM TSTT was forced to buy Amplia, that was because of bad investment decisions by Gervais Warner and Massey Communication. But they saved him with a bailout purchase. Then the minister, Paula Gopi-Schoon, who said that many businesses have shown resilience during the COVID-19, and so she's proud of them. Now 6,000 of them shut down, but she boasting. But you know where she went to take a photo up? Massey opened a big grocery in Brentwood, Danger Guanas. She gone with Gervais Warner to then make some kind of announcement that the PNM put in the rationing of foreign exchange, 100 million here in the Exim Bank for this one and 100 million for that one. Then the next one come and say, there's need 125 million US for French fries, right? But Randall Mitchell now, Mr. Dunce, come to say and present an argument that Massey Corporation, them does make US, so them spending their own US. Now we are debating a bill about the central bank, how they inject money into the system. Now, the bill does not deal with you and your own US. If you have a US account and you sell something and earn US and put your US in there, that's your money, right? You could get our money. That money is not up for debate in a motion about the central bank and the government making money available in general to the community, to Trinidad and Tobago for access to foreign exchange. That is a total different matter. This man come without a balance sheet, without evidence, to talk about Massey as if he is trying to claim, I don't know if he's trying to claim, that Massey Corporation is a net earner of foreign exchange. He had no evidence, he presented nothing, but he come to defend PNM Gervais. What you all feel is joke I'm making? He ain't come to defend all your 6,000 businesses that shut down. He ain't come to defend the 123,000 all your who lost work. He ain't come to defend all the people who cannot go away and cannot get US. He ain't come to defend the old lady who called me and said she need 1,500 US and they only giving she $50 per day. And she was willing to pay some exorbitant amount for 1,500. And I said, lady, my love, please, if they're giving you $50 a day and you need 1,500, just go every day for the next 30 days for me. Don't let nobody go and dig out your eye for no US. That's what the PNM has Trinidad and Tobago, as if we back in 1983. But run the Clong Randall Dotish Mitchell, run him for me.
And then a number of senators raised what I call the Volvo argument. Unfortunate. Spoke about a Volvo showroom and tried to make the point that, well, this particular business just opened a new showroom and they're importing Volvo motor vehicles to sell. But I too have to confess, Madam President, that I am very proud of the conglomerate, the Trinidad and Tobago conglomerate that is the Massey Group, a publicly traded company. And what is not either not known or not raised is that Massey Motors is part of a Massey Group. And we do not know whether they approach the Bank for Foreign Exchange Reserves or whether they are net foreign exchange earners and simply use their own reserves in furtherance of their motor vehicle business.
You all heard that? That clown get up there to try to make an argument. But while making his argument, he say, we do not know if Massey Group is utilizing US earned by the group to facilitate their Massey Motors branch. He don't know, but he come in the Senate to present that as an argument. I don't know, but it could be. That's what the PNM does in the Senate, you know, where you're supposed to be bright. But on top of that, it is Colin Butt, the Minister of Finance, and Paula Gopi-Schoon, who went at great pains over the last 2 years as they put austerity measures on you and me in Trinidad and Tobago. And they tried to put and implement IMF prescriptions without labeling it IMF. And their main claim was that there were leakages in US, especially in the car industry, 500 million US per year. Volvo and things like new cars, that's part of what they were saying. So the left hand don't know what the right hand saying. But this dunce Randall Mitchell come to say, he don't know. So what's your point? You've made no point. Because I put it to you, unless you check the balance sheet and you know what Massey Corporation, how much US they make and how much they spend. You don't know. But what we know is that in your system of foreign exchange provision, because of the tight supply, that is your fault, that those who know you and who are defended by the PNM in the Senate, like Randall Mitchell, run to defend Gervais Warner and the Massey, that we know the way the PNM does operate. Well, Massey US book, them go get, because them have a minister doing advertisement for them without information in the Senate. He's so close with Massey. But the other people, all of you, the hundreds of thousands of you will suffer. But Randall Mitchell, the complete dunce, didn't stop there. Some of y'all will not believe what I am going to show y'all here, but I have the video so you will know that the Douglar don't lie on them. Randall Mitchell said that you, all of you citizens there, who dreamt from the time your children were born, who scrounged and saved, invested in the hope and dreams that your children would be able to go to any university in the world, because Trinidad and Tobago, long-standing, took its place in the global education academic community, in the sporting community, with scholarships, with grants, and then getting expenditure for rent and textbooks and tutorials and so on. You dreamt of your children going to Harvard, Yale, Oxford, and Cambridge. You dreamt of your children going on a scholarship to play football at Erskine College or UVA or Duke or Virginia Tech. Randall Mitchell and the PNM says, how dare you send your children to university away if you don't know that you could get US to send for them? And if you do that, you parents are fools. I can feel you all saying, Anil, you lie. I could feel that you all don't believe me. Let me repeat. Randall Mitchell, a minister in the PNM government, the PNM Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, said that all of you parents who have your children away at school and you don't know if you could get 200 or 300 US or if it will be available, you are irresponsible, foolish and dotish. And UE and UTT good. You know, you all still not believing me. Archie, run it, show them.
Senator Mark and Senator Deonarine also spoke to the question of the availability of Forex to pay tuition fees at foreign universities, foreign education. But I would hate to believe that a parent would send their child to a foreign university, Pace University or Metropolitan University of London or whatever university, and not know how they're going to pay the tuition fees. It is like someone who decides to put up a 5-story building and gets to the 2nd story and does not know how he is going to complete the building. That person would be called a fool. I'm sorry if this is unpopular, but it is simply what it is. You have to know how you're going to pay for the foreign education before you send your child there and struggle to get $200 or $300 or whatever it is that we're talking about.
Actually line that up again, because you will have to play that again for them. So my dear people, it is not his government's fault that they are unable to generate revenues so that foreign exchange will be available to you, the citizens. It is not his government's fault for shutting down Petrotrin and losing $2 billion US per year for the last 4 years. It is not their fault that they negotiated a price in Houston that Jerry Brooks resigned for from NGC, and 11 companies generating US currency shut down in Point Lisa. It is not the PNM fault that they have created a situation of hardship in Trinidad and Tobago that we cannot, when we have money here, buy US. We cannot get US. US is not available. That is their fault. But he comes into the Senate to say, you who send your children away, and you now are faced with the PNM incompetent government, and you can't go in the bank and get US. It is your fault for being a fool. Furthermore, a US degree is 4 years, and if you do masters, another 6 years. The PNM is in government 6.5 years. The foreign exchange crunch has come down on this country like a ton of bricks in the last 3 years after the PNM Houston negotiation of NGC with the upstreamers, after the shutdown 3.5 years ago of Petrotrin, because a man tell Rowley, if I go down, you go down, we all go down. So let we love up and be husband and wife like hog love mud. I want you all to listen to the position of the People's National Movement as espoused by Randall Mitchell. That all of you, your children on a track scholarship, running, trying to bring glory to their family, educate themselves, and represent Trinidad and Tobago. And you go to the bank and you need 400 US and you can't get it. Randall Mitchell says you're a fool. You're on a water polo scholarship, you're on a swimming scholarship, you're on an academic grant, and you have all your TT money here, and you just want to buy and change it from TT to US. But because of the incompetence of the PNM, you cannot get it. Randall Mitchell and the PNM say, you are a fool. Run it, Archie. Show them.
Senator Mark and Senator Dionarine also spoke to the question of the availability of Forex to pay tuition fees at foreign universities, foreign education. But I would hate to believe that a parent would send their child to a foreign university, Pace University or Metropolitan University of London or whatever university, and not know how they're going to pay the tuition fees. It is like someone who decides to put up a 5-story building and gets to the 2nd story and does not know how he is going to complete the building. That person would be called a fool. I'm sorry if this is unpopular, but it is simply what it is. You have to know how you're going to pay for the foreign education before you send your child there and struggle to get $200 or $300 or whatever it is that we're talking about.
So all of you who do not have vast sums or not earning US dollars, you're earning TT dollars, you are all fools that your children must not take advantage of global opportunities. Your children must not accept scholarships abroad to fulfill the dream of the parents for them to get a degree and represent universities in the NCAA, England, across the globe. You are all fools because Randall Mitchell's government cannot diversify. They've shrunk the economy. They've borrowed till the debt to GDP ratio is up at 100%. They have failed to create jobs. They've not done anything to create revenue. They've damaged the energy sector, which if left on automatic pilot could have done 20 times better than under their management. That incompetent, ridiculous, dotish clown is calling you, the citizens, fools. He didn't stop there. He started a lie about US credit card and run it.
By the way, Madam President, what is also not said is that persons with credit cards, you're allowed $9,000 US per cycle to spend. So those things are not said, but it's unpopular to say it. But I will say it.
9,000 US. All of you who have credit cards know that that man is a blatant liar, pathological. That those who had limits of 15,000, 2 years, 3 years ago, it came down to 12,000, then to 10,000. Those of you who had 9,000, it down to 5,000 and down to 6,000. And those credit cards mostly have for business and so on generation, but all the banks have reduced your credit limits because of the incompetence of the PNM. But this man, let me tell you how dotish Randall Mitchell is. Let me tell you. Okay, all you know how the Senate made up, right? The government, the PNM, have 15 senators plus the president of the Senate, 16. The opposition only has 6. We have seen, and I don't have to go through it with you all, that the independent senators, well, you all know, right? So, with that heavily weighted system, isn't it nearly impossible for the PNM to lose a vote in the Senate? Wouldn't you think so? No. Well, Randall Mitchell bring his first amendment in the Senate, and he did the impossible. They lost. Run it, Archie.
We now move to the amendment as proposed by the Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. I will now put the question on the proposed amendment. Honourable Senators, the question is that the motion be amended by deleting the resolution of the motion and replacing it with the following. Be it resolved that this Senate call on the government to table in Parliament within 6 months a statement on how the government intends to address the availability of foreign exchange. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no.
No.
Madam President, the result of the division is as follows. 15 members voted for, 15 members voted against, no members abstained from voting.
Honourable Senators, once again, with the vote being equal, as the presiding officer, I am required, in accordance with Standing Order 54-2, to exercise a casting vote in this instance, and for the reasons that I articulated earlier, which focused mainly on the fact that a casting vote on an amendment to a bill should leave the bill in its existing form, I therefore vote no on this amendment.
Randall Mitchell, you lost your seat. You lost your girl to Brian Manning. And now you lost your first vote in the Senate. Boy, some people just born to lose, boy. As we talk about Brian Manning come in the Senate, and I must say, boy, he ain't take nothing from his father. Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning could debate, eloquent, brilliant, a little piece of paper, and he could see me, and Patrick Manning was good looking. But this Brian Manning, me and all the other check the DNA and thing. He come as a minister in the Ministry of Finance to say that you, the people out there, just like Randall Mitchell, everything is blame all. Y'all are so silly and dotish, y'all don't know how to create value. All you do is buy and sell. And therefore, we buying and selling, and therefore we can't generate revenue because you, the people, have to move away from this buy and sell stupidness and create value. I say, but wait, but all your P&M didn't shut down refinery that we used to buy, create, differentiate, sell to the world. You all didn't shut down that, and now we have to buy from the world and sell to ourselves. All they didn't do that, Brian Manning. But I had to deal with him. I mean, it was a bit of bullying on my part to take aim at a dunderhead and obliterate him. I have to buff myself like I buffed Dinesh Rambali for his taking advantage of convent girl. So I really bully Brian Manning. But I actually show them now.
The Honorable Minister in the Ministry of Finance said that we in Trinidad and Tobago, we need to export. We need to stop the buy and sell mentality. Yet as I look across there, he's a member of the People's National Movement government who shut down Petrotrin, the refinery that was producing products, diversifying energy sector products and exporting products to the world for decades. And he transformed, the P&M government transformed us into a buy and sell. We now have to buy fuel to sell to our people. We have to suffer our people because we do not make or produce any products because the refinery has been closed for 3 years and 7 months. So, Honorable Minister, I hope that you look at your cabinet colleagues and you berate them as you say that we should not be moving away from production and productive capacity into buy and sell. I am certain that those companies, the 11 companies that shut down over the last 3.5 years at Point Lisas, they were attempting to produce products downstream for export, which would have brought about generous supplies of foreign exchange. But these 11 companies and the companies at Point Lisas and Point Lisas that is now operating at 24% capacity do so because the P&M government, with the P&M Prime Minister, with the then P&M Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, went to Houston in 2017, negotiated a gas price on behalf of NGC with the upstreamers, and since then the upstreamers have been boasting of 67% increase in their profit margin. The problem for the rest of the country is that when the upstreamers boast of increased profits, someone else has to suffer because it is a zero-sum game. Unfortunately, the people, the coffers, the supply of foreign exchange of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago was forced to suffer because of the poor negotiating skills of the government in charge now. So to come here and try to blame small and micro enterprises and businesses who are trying to make and turn a profit when you are the government, you tell us that at every opportunity. You shout it upstairs and downstairs. And now when it's time to take responsibility, you try to pass the buck. The Honorable Minister in the Ministry of Finance said that demand outstrips supply. That's as simple as it is. Well, yes, it is simple. But who's in charge of creating the supply? Who's in charge of encouraging supply? Who's in charge of bringing US into the country and foreign exchange? It is you, Honorable Minister. You are in charge. So if the supply is short, it means that your policies have fallen short.
And talking about falling short, if you think that we're not falling apart, Archie put up the MIC letter for this month. People who are working, internal memorandum, all staff, Chief Executive Officer, 26th April 2022, deferral of salary. As you are aware, the MIC Institute of Technology has been plagued with a series of budgetary cuts over the past 4 years, PNM. And this has negatively impacted the operations of the organization as a whole. Unfortunately, the board of directors and management has been forced to defer the payment of April 2022 emoluments. This has become necessary due to the untimely release of funding by the line ministry, the Ministry of Education, Minister of Bundles, but she have time to cause couture in the cabinet with the honor man honing the honor man and the husband going out and coming back in with bundles of the clothes in garbage bag. And they will pay the disbursement of employees' emoluments by the end of the month in April 2022. Well, check UTT also. Great is the PNM. Everything in collapse. Put up the next one, Archie. Yeah, the UTT image. The UTT, same thing. Cannot pay the people. Citizens are working. The PNM incompetence abounds across the board. Not only the total shutdown of UTT, but look at their internal memorandum. Jonathan Cumberbatch, Assistant Vice President. Late payment of salaries, April 2022. When have you all ever heard of this? Elections have consequences. Leave it there, please be advised. You leave it there, man, Archie, it's going good. That as of 12 noon today, the university has received no communication from the Ministry of Finance regarding the delivery of its assigned monthly recurrent subvention, which satisfies the payments of salaries and allowances. So people cannot get paid, but Rawi get the rent. All you go ahead. Great is the PNM. Caribbean Airlines, more job losses coming. State faces legal opposition in attempt to wind up EFCL. Understand how heartless and disgusting the PNM is. You have hundreds of contractors that build schools. Remember when Rowley made the claim and tell the media to ask Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla where the 100 schools? Well, Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla showed him the 106 schools. But Keith Christopher Rowley is a vindictive, wicked, nasty man. And contractors who did work had engineering certificates of completion, check off and so on. They are owed money. But Rowley does not want to pay you, the citizens. No fuel subsidy, no laptops, no grants, no payment for work done. He wants to take all the money and give it to Noel Garcia, because Noel Garcia, I saw him coming out at Massey Stores with one big bag, and I swear it had Rowley name on it. But you all vote for that. What you want me to say? Now, you're seeing that they want to wind up EFCL rather than pay contractors money owed. Think about how dastardly that is. Think about that when a government does that. That is akin to reneging on your debts. That is akin to not paying your debts. And yet our debt to GDP ratio is approaching 100%. While we're talking dotish, well, the dotish, everybody is follow the leader. We have the most dotish prime minister in the history of the Commonwealth, Keith Christopher Rowley. And look now, we are dotish criminals too. Watch and see. Run it. These men gone up on the electricity wire again. One of the comrades in the Wakna touched the wrong wire and dead last week. Them still going up on electricity wire to cut out copper. That is how desperate and dotish our citizens have become because of Rowley's dotish leadership. Understand what is going on. The Pradia Larceny Squad takes work stoppage action. So not only farmers under pressure with no incentives, now they open out to bandits like this to come and thief from their farms. The PCA reaches out to masjid members. Let me tell you something. When you have a leader like Rowley who is disrespectful, who treats people with disdain, who trickles down, are violent, misogynistic, disrespectful, disgusting attitude, who thwarts the Constitution and handpicks his own acting commissioner of police. And then for the first time in the history of our beautiful, beloved Trinidad and Tobago, where we do not tolerate each other, we love and embrace each other. All religions we celebrate together. Every family, every village knows during Eid, when you break in fast, or in the celebration of Eid, whether you are Hindu, Christian, Rastafari, Shouter, Baptist, or Risha, you can go to a neighbor's house and take part and celebrate in Ramadan and Eid. We treat each other with respect. But since Keith Rowley has come in, every aspect of our lives, our culture, the tapestry of who we are has been desecrated and thwarted, and disrespect reigns. Look at what took place in Ridge Plain. Run it, Archie.
All right, so these officers came here today. No warrant. They said they don't need a warrant. They said they don't need a warrant to search here. Watch all these officers here. They said they don't need a warrant to search here. This is public property. That is what they claim. This land here is private property. This mosque here is on private property. Watch all these officers here. Watch them. They continue doing this over and over, no matter how much we try to stop them, no matter what we say. They say they don't need a warrant to come here. Yesterday they came, they say this is not a mosque. Right? Brothers trying to make the itikaf right now. Right, yeah. Brothers trying to make the itikaf, trying to seclude themselves to worship Allah, and watch. They come in, yesterday they come, they mash up the watermelon. They say they're coming to search, they mash up the watermelon, they throw down the pot of oil, which is stained still on the wall here. They throw down the pot of oil, they mash up the watermelon, they kick down our fridge. I don't understand what was the need for all of this. Yeah, what are you saying now, officer?
Right. Morning.
Morning, yeah.
When
You cut it short, Vishnu. Well, you all may have seen it. Go on Facebook and see it. The officer walked with his dirty, disgusting boots into the holy area, the masjid where you pray, where you're supposed to remove your shoes. Anybody knows common courtesy, respect. Walked in, and the Muslim brother was saying, no, sir, don't do that. You cannot go in there. You cannot go in there with your boots like that. Take off your shoes. There was a part, you all missed it, but I'm glad I didn't see it because it's really painful. And all of that action, all of that disrespect, you know what happened? Actually, forget the policeman driving the wrong way, that dotage, that is just like DCP Jacob, everything going wrong way. We go into the next one. You know what happened with all that wildness and disrespect? The story changed. Because the autopsy came out. All of that disrespect was from a narrative that was being pushed, that some young boy shot at the police and killed a police officer. Well, the autopsy shows that police going up the hill in a line, 16 police, they go in looking for bandit, all right, armed and dangerous. So they focus up the hill, they going up a track and they move in. The police get shot in the back of his head. If the bandit in front, they up the hill, how the bullet come through the back like Matrix and hit him in the back of the head. So now they say the investigation changed. They need to protect the fella who they said was a fugitive. They accused the man of killing police and so on. But a bullet to the back of the head. For those who understand Bernadette James and so on. But I told you all on Saturday, you know, I said, we don't trust that man because he got his job from a prime minister who we do not trust, who is a pathological liar, who thwarted an entire merit list, who caused the collapse of the Police Service Commission, who caused 2 public officers to misbehave in public office, to make them do and breach the law, breach the Constitution, and this man got the job. I told you, when there is no trust, you cannot believe. You all did not believe, you know. But look, bullet to the back of the head of a police officer, you know. But show them, Archie, what we said Saturday. And now we have a police officer murdered. I don't have the details, I wasn't there. Condolences to all the police officers and to all the friends and family members of the police officer who was murdered in Diego Martin. That's where we reach. Anarchy, no respect. If that is the story, that is correct, because now, because we don't trust the government, because we don't trust the process, because the independent institutions fail to do their job, because the Prime Minister went and influenced the President, and the President influenced the then Chairman of the Police Service Commission to thwart a merit list that was based on merit and duly signed off on by the majority of the Police Service Commission, to put a man who every moment looks like he sleeps in Balize House in charge, a man who formerly was in 6th place and now he's the top cop. Where in the world does that happen when you're average and you get promoted to the point of prominence and expert intelligence and power position? We don't trust. So now we are hearing and waiting. Now we need an investigation, because we have to get the ballistics of the bullet that went in the officer's neck, and I don't know, so I ain't gonna say no more. But because we don't trust, we don't know what happened, so we pay attention. But who do we have to get the investigation from? The same people who supposed to investigate Paria. Bullet to the back of the head. Think about where we are now. Trinidad and Tobago is not falling apart. We're going good. The ship sailing great, and Kamala said the Israelis are here, and they confirmed that the Israelis are here. What the Israelis here for? But you have a mass media that is the most corrupt in Trinidad and Tobago. The Guardian opinion says, to spy or not to spy, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has categorically said the equipment is in use, but that it's being targeted at the criminal element. That should have brought some sense of assurance that the focus was in the right direction, really. But then a few days later, he went to the parliament and lied and said there was no equipment whatsoever being used by anyone to spy on anybody. Then DCP Jacobs went and tell the truth and confirmed what Gary Griffith said, that equipment was bought, purchased by the Israelis. Half was left for the SSA and half for the TTPS as a check and balance. But one senior official kept telling Gary Griffith to put a little constable, a youth man who he was close with, in charge of the section by the police, thereby creating a synergy between the SSA political and the police political. But Gary Griffith refused. But the Guardian says the procurement by the former cop, the country was told, was not authorized by National Security Council for the use of TTPS, and the cop was instructed to provide hardware and software to the SSA, which he did. What is not clear, however, is if the spy equipment purchase was not authorized by the NSC, how was it paid for? Well, Guardian, are you supposed to be asking these questions, or are you supposed to be finding the answers through your investigative journalists? So you just come in to write nonsense? So what's your work? What makes it more intriguing is training is currently underway for a select group of local security. Thank the Lord for Kamala Prasad Bisesa getting information and giving to the population. Without Kamala, we would know nothing, because Guardian, they reach, they training, and all they didn't investigate, find out, try to get information. You wait for Kamala in the Monday night virtual and then come to print what Kamala say because she showed documentary evidence. Mass media, you all have no shame. That's why our country is falling apart. Because the fourth estate is the fourth rental, bought and purchased and owned by Rowley's PNM. There is a clear need for unambiguous information from the authorities on this spyware equipment. There is a clear need for unambiguous information. That's how y'all describe Rowley's pathological lies. Oh, you need unambiguous. Oh, he's giving you all ambiguous language. He is lying. The Prime Minister is a liar. Then here comes the Newsday now. Next on Judy Raymond, boy. And this was Newsday, Tuesday, April 26. On Sunday, Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob seemed to corroborate this arrangement. Seemed to, Gary Griffith say, for a check and balance, he had half the equipment by the SSA, which is politically appointed and politically controlled. He put the next half by the independent police, so that if them want to use it, you have to get permission here, and then it could join together and do it. And if them want to use it, you have to get permission here, so you have to join. So you can't just go and use things willy-nilly. Jacob say, after he was selected by Rowley and Imbot, he take this piece from the police and give it to the political SSA. He said so on Sunday, since September 10th last year. The Newsday, hearing that what Jacob say, prints, and I quote, on Sunday, Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob seemed to corroborate this arrangement. well, Newsday, he seemed to corroborate it. Well, what am I going to say? He said, yes, it's true, it was there so, and we put it so. But that was, he just seemed to. He didn't really corroborate that Rowley is a flipping liar. And Judy Raymond, and y'all still reading these pieces of crap that influence your mind to dictate how you vote? Let me tell you something. This is a very critical thing. And for you, Mr. Akash Samaru, Guardian, Media Limited, whatever, I saw some video where you were making fun and light of this joke that the PNM is spying on journalists and you could be one, that all they would find out from you is that you play Pokemon a lot. You find that funny as a journalist? Really, you find trampling on the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens, you find dictatorship, oppression, lies, constitutional crisis, thwarting a meritless police service commission, acting commissioner of police who's in the pocket of politicians, the police service being led by a man who's now in the hands of politicians to directly impact the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. You find that a funny Pokemon joke, Akash Samaru, really? You're not Tommy Joseph. Please. Try to do a little better. As we wrap up here, I'm tired. But I need you all to stay on. I'm going to repeat a doubles and coffee that I put out a few days ago. I want each and every one of you to look at it, to understand it, to take notes, and to share it. Because we are in the throes of a dictatorship. Our country has fallen apart. Nothing is working, and the PNM is abusing you and calling you dotish and foolish, even for dreaming that the next generation betters itself. We have lost our way. Keith Rowley's PNM has taken away every aspect that makes Trinidadians and Tobagonians unique. It is time for them to go. So listen, take notes. Information is king. You cannot depend on these newspapers. They have us in the mess that we are in. They have our Prime Minister as a man who was a teacher, who used his power position, his position of respect, to coerce, to confuse, and to get a young child of school age to have sexual intercourse with him. And he impregnated that child, ignored the baby, his son, for 44 years. And is doing the same thing with twin girls. He is the Prime Minister of this country because of newspapers like this. So pay attention, inform yourself. Don't take my word for it. Check, read, understand these things. So good night, stay tuned. Coffee and doubles up next. Good night.
Doubles and coffee. You know you are in a dictatorship when the government has the opportunity, purchases, and puts in place systems to spy on innocent law-abiding citizens. We all agree on that. Every single citizen. Okay? So Kamala Prasad made some accusations about Israeli spyware. Keith Christopher Rowley came out and said, yes, we have spyware. We've been utilizing it, but not on law-abiding citizens, on criminals, because criminals use phones, and cell phone network is the best thing, and so on and so forth. So, flash forward, Keith Christopher Rowley, the notorious liar of the Commonwealth, then goes to the Parliament and says, no, not at all. There is no spyware purchased at all by the government and the police, and no one is utilizing any Pegasus. Right. Fitzgerald Hines comes and says, Kamala, bring your evidence. Rowley didn't bring no evidence or email gate, but Fitzgerald Hines comes out and says, bring your evidence of what you're talking about, that the PNM government out under Keith Christopher Rowley is spying on law-abiding citizens, politicians, political opponents, media, and so on. Very interesting. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police, well, the Express and Rowley tried to pelt it on he. That Gary was a rogue and went and buy spyware for himself to use. Okay. Gary Griffith said there was certain spyware bought under national security policy and so on. That it was not Pegasus, but he, while he was Commissioner of Police, understood the power, the awesome power of the spyware that was purchased with the full knowledge and approval of the government and National Security Council, National Security Minister, and Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But he, Gary Griffith, kept it separate. There are two arms who could utilize this technology. The SSA, which has a political component, which is influenced and staffed by the politicians, by the cabinet, and then the TTPS, which is the independent arm of the state. So Gary Griffith said he put in checks and balances. So if the political arm, the SSA, want to spy on somebody, they cannot do it unless they, one, notify the police and the police agree, because the system in two parts, and you need two parts to operate. That's what Gary Griffith said. So how do we get to the truth as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Y'all know Rowley's a liar, okay. Maybe that's not enough for y'all to understand what is really going on. You know Fitzgerald Hines is a bigger liar than Rowley, but with less power. But maybe that's not enough for you. Okay, you know how you always get down to the truth? You listen to everything that everyone has to say. You read, you remember, and then you analyze. And you look for, especially when you are posed with pathological liars, you look for the person who has the least experience in lying. And you listen, read, and take note of what they said. In comes DCP Jacob, a man who only has his current job now because Keith Christopher Rowley, the PNM Prime Minister, decided to interfere, influence, and misbehave in public office to get two other public officials to breach their duty, to breach the law and to breach the Constitution, and to do actions that would present Keith Rowley with a benefit. That benefit being get rid of Gary Griffith, get rid of the merit list. On August 11, Keith Rowley went to the President Paula May Weeks and Bliss C. Prasad and influenced them to breach Section 123.4 of the Constitution. Then up jumps DCP Jacob from 6th place to politically appointed acting Commissioner of Police. Right? You all did not understand what and why that was such a constitutional crisis of critical proportions, but now you will understand. So we come now, flash forward, 2022, April going into May, and spying on citizens is a topic. So Rowley talk, Rowley 1, yes we have it. Rowley 2, no, we have no Pegasus. Fitzgerald Hines, tell Kamala bring the evidence. Gary Griffith, yes, it was there with approval, not Pegasus, but I put checks and balances to follow the law to make sure that it was for criminals and could not be utilized and could not be abused to spy on law-abiding citizens. So one part was left with the SSA, which is politically controlled by the PNM, and the other one was left with the TTPS, an independent institution. Let's read what DCP Jacob said. because he has less experience lying than Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines. Listen carefully and take note that this statement by DCP Jacobs was stuck in the corner of an article and put halfway down that 98% of the population would not read. But I found it and I will read it for you. Here, DCP Jacob, the acting commissioner of police. Jacob denied any wrongdoing by the police service, insisting that the TTPS does not currently have access to spy software. He said, now keep in mind TTPS, the independent institution, and SSA. Keep that in mind, okay? He said that while a former commissioner of police, Gary Griffith, purchased spyware of less capability than the Pegasus spyware, the software they acquired was never utilized. That software was in two parts. One, for a period of time, certain aspects of it was in the possession of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and the other half was in possession of the SSA. So Jacobs confirms what Gary Griffith said. Without both merging and coming together, nothing could happen. Therefore, also within there, a lot of training needed to take place in order for it to be utilized. The police's software, Jacob added, was handed over to the SSA last September. Let me repeat. The police half, the TTPS, the independent half, the software, was handed over to the SSA last September. That means that the SSA, the political side, the politically influenced side, the political side of the arm that could spy on you, had the capability 100% since September last year. Since after the constitutional crisis, since Gary Griffith was removed, the SSA, not the TTPS, because the SSA, the political part, could have given the police the other half so it could have been utilized. But no, it went the opposite direction. So what Jacobs is saying here, that since September last year, the political arm, the SSA, with members appointed by the Cabinet, the Ministry of National Security, the National Security Council, the Prime Minister, and the Minister of National Security, had the full entire capability to spy on you and whoever without checks and balances since September last year. You see, Jacob wasn't briefed very well. He's not a pathological liar. The truth has fall out his mouth like dribble. And look how dangerous it is now. The question of police utilizing software to spy on anybody could not have taken place. That's true, Jacob. Because you or the police hand over all to the SSA. So the police, the TTPS had zero. They had 50% under Gary to make sure it had checks and balances. The PNM Rowley put who they want and thwart the merit list. And then the political arm, the SSA, moved from 50%, which they could not utilize, to all the spy equipment. You see, Jacob asserted. So ladies and gentlemen, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and we're going into May. For the last 9 months, after your constitutional crisis involving Keith Christopher Rowley, causing the President and Bliss Sipasad, the former chairperson of the Police Service Commission, to ensure that Rowley was happy with the police commissioner who he appointed to act and that he can control and dictate. The checks and balances to protect you, the law-abiding citizens, were removed. And it was removed not in a manner to increase your security and increase and enhance your democracy and ensure that you were not abused. It was not handed over to the police, the independent arm that is there to protect you. The spyware which exists, and it may not be named Pegasus, but the spyware, as Rowley admitted, to go into phones and sell network because the criminals utilize it. Since September, as stated by DCP Jacob, Acting Commissioner of Police, corroborating what Gary Griffith said, has been in the hands of the political arm, the politically appointed head SSA. The checks and balances were removed, and therefore Kamla Prasad Bisesa is damn right, and Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines are found lying again. And you all, 75% of you, knew that, because you know that they're spying on you. But now DCP Jacobs, a man who was not briefed by the two pathological liars, talks the truth, corroborates everything. And the facts are now that before September 2021, there was no ability to spy on citizens without the approval of both the politically influenced SSA and the TTPS. So there were checks and balances. DCP Jacobs, after the constitutional crisis, and we told you that political interference in the police is dangerous and tyrannical and leads to an oppressive dictatorship, he now confirms that since September last year, the political arm, taking and being influenced by Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines, had total control of the technology to spy on you. What say you now, my people? What say you now, lawyers, former commissioners of police, senior counsel, law professors, watch groups, people of Trinidad and Tobago? What say you now that this clown, this pathological, arrogant Wajang Rowley has had the capability to spy on you, the people, since September last year? DCP Jacobs, they tell me don't walk with Jacob because Jacob just walk and shake up. You're in a lion's den, but it's not a lion that roars. You're in a den of liars. For you, they go now blow you out. Trinidad and Tobago, what I say? But it's all been confirmed now. Bless. Welcome to your dictatorship.